Good evening, Don't Unfriend Me Nation, episode 457 of the Don't Unfriend Me show. My name is Matthew Spear. I am the host of Don't Unfriend Me. Good to have you here tonight. Tonight on 457, we are doing part two or part due of the Ryan Weaver interview. It was such a great interview. The first portion, obviously, you can find on the channel. If you go back and look for 456, you can see that. Tonight, we're focusing more on the second half of the interview, which really talks about Ryan's transition out of the military, how he coped with the loss of two very important people in his life, where he gets his inspiration, and then moves into really the motivational speaking. Part three will play on Wednesday night. I think that's a good night for it. We will be live at 8:30, and we pick up right where we left off. I will also ensure I add a little bit of the music that Ryan sings in episode 3, and also a sample of his motivational speaking engagements. All great stuff, folks. Enjoy the episode. Please come back tonight live at 8:30. We're going to be talking about Donald Trump and obviously the supposed arrest that will happen tomorrow. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into that. But for now, let's enjoy Ryan Weaver. You can follow him at Ryan Weaver Country across all social media. God bless, and I will see you tonight and also while you watch the episode. See you soon.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me show, otherwise known as The Dumb Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The Dumb Show on social media or thedumbshow.com.
You're really authentic. I mean, I'm not blowing sunshine up your ass. I already got you on the show, but you're an authentic dude, man. That's the one thing I've known about you is you're selfless. You don't put yourself in front of others. And I think the humility is what makes you likable. And, you're like most military people. You're like myself. You've got the stoic demeanor and you're intimidating when you first are met by most people, I'm sure, but then they realize that there's something behind the exterior, and that's all defense, right? It doesn't matter, man. The fact that it's something that drives you, because you can't give up carrying the torch.
Right.
Whether you know that or not, your brother kind of passed that torch to you inadvertently or unwillingly. It doesn't matter. It's yours now, and you got to carry it. How do you think you have continued to honor your brother for this long with this much passion, and what keeps you going and really motivates you every day to keep just charging and trying new things and just living life to its fullest? I understand, it's easy to say, well, it's for my brother, but there's got to be something that's driving you. And what would that be?
I mean, obviously having an Aaron and Randy in my corner is a fuel to a fire that is unquenchable. I mean, you can't explain what it means to be standing on the top of a mountain with your brothers holding you up there. Regardless of how far you fall, you're still on the top of that mountain, and that's the way that I look at it. Their sacrifices, they don't have a voice anymore, and I choose to be that voice. And I may not be saying the exact same things that they would say or doing the exact same things that they would do, but I know what this country meant to them, and I know what it meant to do what you feel is right and chase after it with everything that you've got, and fail, charge through that failure, charge through that roadblock, go over those speed bumps and blow out your suspension. That's just the way that they did things. They were both incredible human beings, and none of us are perfect, and no one ever is ever going to say that they were perfect, but nobody ever has a bad word to say about them. I mean, and for me, carrying on that, their legacy and honoring their legacy, first and foremost, I tried to, as an artist, to not make their sacrifices be the only thing that was my driving force. I mean, I grew up wanting to be successful. I grew up having that drive to be the best that I possibly could be. But I was always following in Aaron's footsteps, and he was a standard bearer. Right. So, if he was great in cross country and track, I always wanted to beat his times. And, when I was in flight school, I wanted to. Aaron and Steve graduated fourth in their class, and he helped me graduate top of my class. And it was really awesome to be able to say, yeah, I beat my older brothers and my older brother in all of these things. And the unfortunate thing about that is I take it all back in a second.
Yeah, of course.
But carrying on the legacy and having them in my corner has always been invaluable. And when shit got tough, and when things, and because of music business, you see the 5% of the glory and the 95% of the work that goes into it.
Right.
Most people don't see or understand, but I just kept thinking that the two times in my life, or there are two things that I always think about when things get bad. I'm not taking a shit in a 180-degree porta potty, and
Right. Right.
and it's not the day that. And now three things. It's not the day that Aaron and Randy died, and
Yeah.
when I found out anyway, because I actually found out the next day, but on both of them. But those, I always think about that, and no matter how bad it gets, no matter what the circumstances are that I'm going through, where it's not necessarily pleasant, my drive to be successful always starts with those thoughts that I'm never going to be there and doing that again when it comes to those two. And then when it comes to the porta potty situation, the porta potty is kind of a joke thing, but
No, it's not. No, it's for those who've been in it. It's not a joke at all.
yeah,
We all
when
understand.
you gotta sit with the doors locked, sit with the doors open, so if you pass out, you can fall out, as
Right.
opposed to
Fall in.
well, I
Right.
mean, or dying inside a porta potty
Right.
you can't get into because you're cooking. But yeah, I mean, and like I said, I say that half-heartedly, or excuse me, lightheartedly. But when it comes to Aaron and Randy, that's very real and it's very truthful, and there's no way to get around it. But for me, my life has been amazing. When I decided, see, after Aaron died, I decided to chase this dream of mine in his honor. And when I decided that, I realized, not decided, but when I realized that I had to make my own footsteps and that I was no longer following in his, and my footsteps had to be the best that they possibly could be. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't get it right every single day, and I'm not
Sure.
100% every single day, and no one is. But I do the best that I possibly can to honor their sacrifices and be the voice that I feel that they would be, and care about this country and care about my fellow brothers and sisters in arms, not just in the military, but law enforcement and first responder communities as well. Um, because my dad was a cop, my brother-in-law is a cop. I've got so many family members that are law enforcement, and my aunt was a first responder, as a firefighter. I mean, we have that family history, but supporting those folks, that's how I feel that I should continue to carry on, even though I served for almost 21 years on active duty.
Mm-hmm.
Carrying on their legacy and what they've done and what they sacrificed every single day, both as a human being outside of my music career and what I was known as a military service member, but as a human being and being a good person and doing the right thing, it matters to me. And
Yeah.
that's what I try to push out to everyone out there, that should matter to them as well.
One of the things I think I recognize is the dedication to veterans, living vicariously through them, through their struggles and what they're going through. I'm sure you're maybe not able to help your brother. And I know you communicate with your brother constantly. I know the friends I've lost, I still converse with, and whether it's putting the hands together or visiting the Garden of Stone, you always have that feeling that they're there and they're watching. But your help with veterans and talking about the mental health side, I can't help but bring it up because it's something that's very passionate with me when it comes to Veteran Crisis Hotline, the Travis Manion Foundation, and others. Is they're integral parts of my show. What would you say to veterans and your personal journey? It's not really important for me to go into that unless you want to share it. But how did you struggle with some of the things you saw? How did you ask for help? And what would you say to veterans, since we're losing 22 a day, and it's actually, the number's going up now. It's not a good thing. What would you say to those veterans to kind of encourage them to get the help that they need and deserve?
Well, I've worked closely with the Warrior Shield Foundation. I got the patch here to show everybody the logo. So if anybody wants to look it up, the Warrior Shield Foundation, that's that organization. I worked with them. I've been a part of that organization, or worked with that organization since its inception. They do amazing things for our heroes and support other nonprofit organizations. This year, the Folds of Honor is going to be who they're supporting, and their suicide prevention is a great organization for their suicide prevention. And the Warrior Shield Foundation also sincerely cares about our heroes in all aspects, because our law enforcement, first responder communities as well, I mean, they're dealing with this stuff 24 hours a day for 20 years. I mean, you got cops that are going on patrol every single day for 20 plus years, and seeing the worst, the armpit of society, and having to deal with that. Firefighters, first responders are dealing with loss and dealing with people being in the worst circumstances they ever could be in. And I think it's important. I gotta stop saying I realize I get on some of these podcasts and I go
Everyone's got their tick, man, and you know what? It doesn't matter.
I say no. I don't know what the deal is. I just realized that I was saying it. So all y'all people out there, I apologize about your you're saying but I'm going to get rid of
at least you're not saying literally, because that's what my daughter. She's like literally. I'm like, honey, you got to stop saying literally.
It's not usually used in the proper way I was using it. So
no, it's never. It never is. Literally, this is not literal. Okay, whatever. But anyway, yeah, I do.
So for me, the supporting those organizations is extremely important, because I know that they have value and I know that they can do great things. I think the most difficult thing for most military service members is reaching out to other military service members or organizations for help. And I just got a message from someone who is a veteran, and their tractor, which their Kubota that is helping them make a living. There's been some kind of a mix up in their financial situation, their payments and whatnot with the financier, and they reach out to me and say, I have my last avenue. I don't know what to do. We're about to lose this, which is going to force us to lose our income. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what to do, because my family, they needed help. And I personally don't have the ability to drop a few $1,000s for another veteran to support them, because I'm working my tail off right now to try and pay my bills. But there are nonprofit organizations out there that do individual support for veterans, and making those connections, try and use my platform to be able to connect those veterans and heroes, whatever hero community they're part of, connect them with those nonprofit organizations to give them support. But I answer every message that comes to me on social media when it comes to that, and I try to do my best to make those connections. The thing is, it's tough because there's so many nonprofit organizations out there that do individual support for veterans or heroes, whatever it may be. But vetting those organizations is an extremely tedious and long job when it comes to trying to find the right resource for those veterans to support them. So I do feel fortunate that I've gotten involved with several organizations that support veterans as far as the suicide prevention is concerned, and getting them help, getting them support. The hardest thing is financial support, especially in times like these when you have a lot of veterans out there that ended up losing their jobs during COVID, and they're trying to find a different path that they can take to be able to make an income and make ends meet, not just an income, but make ends meet, but also get the help that they need for their PTS or their wounds, their visible wounds that they may have had during, that they've gotten during combat. So how can I use my platform to be supportive of individuals, but also groups? I kind of have had to focus on the organizational support because of the size of my platform. It's been, if I could tell you, the hundreds upon hundreds of messages that I get, and how do I segregate which individuals I'm going to be able to support and be able to post something about, I got someone whose daughter that is having a problem with their medical situation or whatever, and they're trying to raise funds for them. If I threw out every Give, Send, Go or GoFundMe project that's out there, my page would be full of nothing but that.
Yeah, and it would dilute those who truly need the most help.
Right. The thing is, that's the other thing when you're getting hundreds of messages from folks. How do you know which ones are legit, because you've seen so many of them that have fleeced folks, like Black Lives Matter, that fleeced folks for billions upon billions of dollars and
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
supported the Black community. Those kind of things. When it comes to the veteran side of it, we all know that there are
Right.
scumbags out there that take advantage of military nonprofits that are legitimately doing a good thing, and then there are military nonprofits that are taking advantage of fundraising folks that aren't doing
Yes, they
shit for the
are.
military community.
Right.
And I have to take the time to be able to vet those nonprofit organizations, which is a great reason why I've gotten involved with the Warrior Shield Foundation, because that's what they do. They
Right.
vet those nonprofit organizations before they get involved with them, but also before they recommend them to our heroes and the hero community. And if you look at the number of years that I've been involved with the Warrior Shield Foundation, you would see why I've continued my support with that organization, because anybody can go and look at their numbers, and they can look at that it's an all volunteer nonprofit. They're about to get to the point to where they're going to have to pay someone to be the boss of that nonprofit, but that boss of that nonprofit happens to be one of my best friends, the president of that nonprofit. And if he has to go that route, I don't know if he wanted me to tell you about that or not, but I mean, they have to have someone who can manage that,
Correct.
in its own, and it has to be looked at as a business, and we know that. But I guarantee you that nonprofit will never turn into the Wounded Warrior Project, where they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars on parties and different things like that as opposed to making sure that the dollar and every penny that is possible goes back to the hero community. So
Yeah.
now your
There's a lot of
question,
corruption. Go
yeah,
ahead.
absolutely. And I know I got off on a tangent there when it comes to it, but it
Right.
really,
This isn't the Don't Unfriend Me interview. This is the Ryan Weaver interview. You get the time, man. I talk
gotcha.
enough. You'll find that out during the live show.
Well, I think that it's important, to answer your question. How did I deal with my demons, and how did I deal with my loss in these? And music was my avenue. Music was my way to promise every single time that I got on stage, I would tell Aaron's and then Randy stories. Writing, being able to talk about it, being able to perform, being able to use my music skills and my motivational speaking skills to be keynote speakers, a keynote speaker for nonprofit and for-profit corporate events, adding the concert to the mix of that to be able to do not just motivational speaking, but concert combo, going, performing at nonprofit events for fundraising for those nonprofit events, performing at concerts where a portion of my proceeds from my merchandise go to a nonprofit organization, or just being able to raise awareness by getting on stage. Even if it's a full for-profit concert, I'm out there, I'm still telling the stories of our heroes and raising awareness. Because if you think about it, 99.9% of the people that are attending those concerts have not served and will not serve.
True.
When
True.
less than 1% of the entire United States has ever served, but I'm standing in front of a crowd of folks and I'm performing. I've got 45,000 people in AT&T Stadium that are cheering on our heroes, and I could talk about our heroes and honor their sacrifices. And I could still be myself. I don't have to be contrived. I don't have to be a fake artist. I can do the military thing, but I can also do the artist thing in a legitimate way. That's how I've dealt with it.
It's interesting you say that, where 1% of the population in the United States is served, but on the other hand, 99% of the population either knows somebody who's a first responder, who's been on the front line or served in the military. And I think that's your job, right? I mean, that's your calling, is to how do you make that connection through your music and use that stage to have them remember the service or the current service of a loved one. When we think of the song Burn, and it's one of my son's favorites, and he was rocking out to it and just dancing to it. And he loves all the explosions and the drones and the Reapers, doing targeting in the video. He loves all that stuff, Call of Duty stuff. But when you think of that song, when I listen to it, I just think it's one of those kick-ass songs. It's just basically, hey, it's time to punch the clock and go to work. To you, what does it mean when you sing it? And I would love to actually play it for the audience here in a second, but just want you to kind of set up the song, set up the video, and the whole etymology of that piece of art for me, if you could.
So initially we wrote Burn, and it was going to be a military song. It was going to be military focused. And then I did the volunteer jam with Charlie Daniels when they were promoting the movie 13 Hour Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. And I got to meet John Tig Tigan and Mark Osgeist, two of the
Yep.
Benghazi heroes. And they were
Yep.
promoting the movie at the volunteer jam. Initially, I was speaking with Mark Geist about getting Burn into the movie. We rewrote some of the lyrics, very minor changes, but to fit the film and to fit more of a general statement about standing side by side with your brothers and sisters in arms to defend against tyranny, to defend against folks that are trying to burn down everything that we've built in this country as far as our freedoms are concerned and the things that we care about the most. And then John Tigan got involved, and he really, really helped me push to get the music video funded, or started anyway. He reached out to Paramount and got the trailer clips authorized for us to use the trailer clips in the music video, and he got Chris Peranto on board. Mark Geist really wasn't involved too much in the process after that, but Chris Peranto and John Tigan really, really jumped on board to help us get the music video funded. It was all self-funded, crowd-funded by folks supporting us to get this message out there. We had an all-military law enforcement, first responder, and military family cast in the whole thing. All the extras, everybody that was in there was either one of those. Tactical shit actually got involved in the behind-the-scenes, in filming the behind-the-scenes. We got a really cool behind-the-scenes video done by them. They were really supportive of everything that we were doing behind the scenes and getting us equipment and different things like that. We filmed it all in one day. We filmed it in 4 different locations. It started at 5 o'clock in the morning at the Mount Juliet Police Department range, where we did all of those shots with the 50 cal. Barrett came in from their headquarters, brought us a 50 cal and one of their automatic. It looked like a saw, but one of their automatic weapons. So I got to fire all that stuff legitimately. Fired their 50 cal for the first time ever in my life. I fired the 50 cal on there. They brought their semi-automatic in there.
How fun is that? Yeah.
It was, I mean, I got to do 10 rounds
Yeah.
total. So it wasn't like the one that you ended up getting to see was one of many, different angles. You got to film it multiple times from different angles and all that kind of stuff. So it was great. And we had, like I said, the Paramount gave us authorization to use the trailer clips. Those the drone scenes that you saw were from the actual movie. The explosion scenes you saw were from an actual movie. We would have never been able to afford to do a video like that.
Oh, no way.
Honoring the four Benghazi that were killed, and honoring my 2 brothers that were killed in action. Having 2 of the real life Benghazi heroes in the music video was extremely important to me. And the video was just it was a launching pad for my career as well. It really was, because I had done several shows with Charlie Daniels here in town, the Ryman Auditorium, Bridgestone Arena, the Grand Ole Opry, and at the Opry House. We had done all those shows, and then we got the Burn music video funded, and it really took off. Social media wise, it took off online, YouTube, you name it, and it got me some regional shows. So it was really cool to get that whole project completed, and knowing what went into that project to get it done, flying everyone in flying the folks in that we flew in to get the music video done, the logistics that were behind it, knowing that I was directly involved in all of that and the whole planning process to get it done. Although it was one day of shooting, it was 3 days of travel. It was making sure that folks were from one place to the next. I think we had 20 different Jeeps that showed up for it. We had Fab Four custom Jeeps. They brought 2 of their custom builds in from North Carolina. They got involved pretty heavily. It was just an incredible project to get that done. Crank It, my first music video that I ever came out with, and the first song I ever wrote in Nashville, was an incredible music video. We had Patrick Tuhill, who was the director and videographer for both of those videos. It was just great to have him involved in that project, because he and I saw eye to eye as to how the project was supposed to go, how I wanted it to depict this storyline of essentially us getting prepared to go out on another Benghazi trip. It was really interesting. The jet that you see in the last scene that we get on, it flew in the day before we had a smaller jet that we were going to go on, but it flew in the day before. And it was interesting that it was the same exact kind of jet that flew the Benghazi guys out. After that, the civilian jet, it was the same kind of jet. And John Tigan Tig pointed it out. He said, yeah, this is what we flew out on. It was exactly the same kind of jet. And it flew in the day before. So we didn't have we had, like I said, a smaller private jet that we were going to use for the video. And that came in. There were just a lot of things that came into play that were, I mean, God had his plan on how it should be done. And I felt that he did it right. I think that the video, I couldn't have done the video any better or any differently than it turned out. I thought it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I got the chance to meet him, and one of my Don't Tread flags right here, which is built into a table, has autographs from both of them. So it's a small world. Hey, Don't Unfriend Me Nation, thanks so much for watching part 2 of the Ryan Weaver interview. You will be able to hear the song Burn, and also a little bit in regards to Ryan's motivational speaking and the other things that he's involved in. And also you'll be able to see a segment of one of his speeches that he did. I hope you enjoyed the show. It was a great part 2, and so much about veterans, so many things that are near and dear to who I am as a person. And I hope you felt the same. Stay tuned for part 3 on Wednesday. Remember the Veteran Crisis Hotline, folks. It is extremely important to take care of our vets. We will go out like we always do with the Veteran Crisis Hotline. Stop by The Dumb Show, thedumbshow.com. Pick yourself up a shirt, a hat, or some coffee or anything to that effect. I will see you tonight at 8:30. God bless. And also come back on Wednesday for part 3 of Ryan Weaver's interview.
I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets.
We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important, you are important.
For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call